Okay, we'll start in about 10 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll start, and Nicole then, Michelle, then you can intro us. So welcome everybody. We're going to have a webinar on how to boost your visibility on ChatGPT. It's basically like an advanced SEO course. In terms of the agenda, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about, firstly, I'm going to swap out the word ChatGPT and GTP all the time, so I'm verbally dyslexic, so please don't think I'm an idiot. So we're going to talk about ChatGPT's role in search and discovery. Then we're going to talk about optimizing content for ChatGPT. Then we're going to talk about the impact of external reviews and links and mentions. Then we're going to talk about how do you measure your visibility and your ROI from ChatGPT. And then there's an experimental section that we may get to, but we may skip on it depending on time. And then right at the end, there's 5 practical steps that we just want to share in terms of really like what to do next. Over to you, Michelle.
Oh, okay. So I just want to introduce our 2 hosts. Nicole, who you'll see shortly, is an SEO specialist with more than 7 years of experience working with a variety of award-winning digital marketing agencies such as Incubator, Media Vision, and NPI. She's assisted various B2B and B2C clients. Some of them amongst Stephen Madden, Centum, Old Mutual, and MTN. She is skilled and specialized in SEO reporting, data analysis, SEO strategy, technical SEO, and project management, and holds multiple digital marketing, data, and Google certifications. So that's Nicole. And of course, Ferdy Bester is a seasoned digital strategist with over 18 years of experience in marketing technology, performance, media, and analytics. He's the founder and managing director of Nitro, a data-driven growth agency that helps CMOs and marketing leaders build scalable digital lead and sales engines. Ferdy is recognized for his ability to blend technical depth with strategic vision in the evolving world of AI augmented marketing. He too holds multiple degrees and certifications. Welcome.
Thank you, Michelle. Cool. Right, let's start. Okay, so ChatGPT's role in search and discovery. So this is what we're seeing play out in the market, and that's why everybody's on this webinar. Is I think everybody has seen the impact of ChatGPT and other LLMs in the market. So at the moment, so OpenAI hasn't shared any recent stats, but they get about 400 million weekly active users at the moment. This is the population of the United States that go on ChatGPT every single week. So it is phenomenal. So but this is what they say. And what we're seeing on our end is that there's just been enormous traffic growth from ChatGPT over the last couple of months. So it started end of last year in about August. And the traffic has just grown like at quite a big rate. So it's still a fairly small percentage of total traffic to our current sites, but it is growing very fast. And what's also very interesting is that those clicks turn into bookings and sales. So we see about a 4% conversion rate from anybody that goes from ChatGPT to the client's website to complete a booking or sale. So 4% is quite good. And I don't have to preach like the amazingness of this. Everybody's played around with it. But I think practically it's just because it's so incredibly easy to compare things and to get information from the platform. So, you can compare cars, it can, build up or draw up tables for you. It's just an incredibly quick way to get information and to do research. And what's happened is that they also included search a couple of months ago. So if it can't answer, if it doesn't have it in its database or in the model itself, it will actually use Bing to go and get the information for you. So if you want to know what concerts are on in Halifax or in Johannesburg, it'll actually do a web search for you and try and get the information. And what is coming, they've noted this, is they're going to include product search. So you'll be able to get detailed information on products, on the reviews, like you can see there on the right hand side, and actually the different the pricing from different vendors as well. So this isn't even live yet. So once this goes live, we think that it'll even boost the traffic growth even more. And the reason why this is important is we are seeing Google react to this. So Google has brought in these AI overview sections. You know, when you do a search, so let's say, for example, you do a search for how does car insurance work, you get these AI overviews that pop up on Google. And the impact on this is quite profound in that last year in America, you know, if somebody does a search on Google, you know, 41% of them do click through to the website, but 37% of them do nothing. And it's basically this do nothing is they get the answer, you know, in this section of Google, or 21% of them do another search. So it basically means that 58% of searches on Google doesn't actually result in a click. So there's the whole ecosystem is sort of recalibrating in terms of you know, how people research and where people are going. So to put it into context even further, and you know, so see that this very interesting study is when these snippets show up on Google, when you do a search, the click-through rates drop, and they've been dropping over time. And this is Google's reaction to ChatGPT coming into the market. And so if we look at this from a marketing and from a funnel point of view, if these are the stages that people go through in terms of, you know, moving from awareness to research, to engagement, to the lead, and to finally to get the sale, is, you know, the awareness basically stays the same. You know, there are ads on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok, but there's a critical research phase that people do when they are planning to buy something. And traditionally, Google Ads and Google and SEO has been the big players here. And what we're seeing is that ChatGPT is going to become quite a big important factor in terms of people's research. So at the moment, it's still small, but it's growing very quickly. And I think in a few years' time, the space is going to look way different from now. So, Nicole, do you want to take it over from here?
Yeah, let's do it. I see I'm not allowed to share my screen. Would you be able to let me?
Let's see. If you can't, then I will have to just drive for you.
Uh-oh.
Just give us a second, people.
I made fancy animations and everything, so got to get this right. So it's actually a setting, apparently. You can ask the meeting host to turn on screen sharing.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into it now. Okay, I think I'll just drive for you. Okay, I'll share.
Okay.
You just have to say click.
Okay. Or next slide.
Yeah. Okay.
It works for me.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, thanks. Hey, do you mind just hiding your screen sharing little thing? Okay, great. Thank you so much. So before we get into the schema types and weird acronyms like EEAT, I just wanted to identify some best practices with you guys just to show what resonates best with LLMs like ChatGPT. So during my research for this webinar, I came across loads of resources which have contradictory kind of opinions about LLM versus SEO optimization. And based on my years of experience and a lot of research as well, there are some key optimization strategies that you can use. But bottom line is, do not get wrapped up in the hype of, oh my gosh, like LLM and SEO optimization are like two different things. Like we should throw SEO optimization out of the window. It's not working. That's absolutely not correct. So the main thing you need to always keep in mind as a marketer or a content creator or business owner is that you're creating a service or a product or content on your website that is amazing. It's really, really useful for people. Oh, Fadi, would you mind muting yourself?
Sure.
Thanks. Thank you. So creating just really great products and services and content that people want to link to and want to talk about. You are putting your customers first, and you are always making sure that you're keeping them in mind rather than a search engine or ChatGPT. Okay, so we can get into the next slide. So that kind of sets the scene. So optimization best practices. In my 8+ years of being an SEO person, there are best practices that will never go out of fashion, no matter which new fancy shiny thing comes into the industry. So the first one is to write for humans first. So always write for people first, search engines, LLM second, like bar none. That's super, super important. And the next thing you want to do is to make sure that you are comprehensively covering topics that are relevant to your niche. Any kind of questions that people might have, expand on that. But make sure that you're creating content that's not just being created by like 100 other brands before. Create something that's unique to you, to your brand, to your audience. Don't be creating like, oh, this is 10 ways how to optimize your website. Like it's been done like 1,000,000 times before. So keep that in mind. Next is that you would want to use really great structure in your content. So use headings. So these are all like practices that we've been using for the last 10+ years. Have good headings, have bulleted lists, use rich media, use images, link to other parts of your website so people can navigate easily through it, which brings us to our next best practice, which would be really, really excellent information architecture. So what that means is having a website that is from top to the bottom. It has your homepage always at the top, and then it links to your other important pages, and those link to other pages that are related to that page as well. So making sure that you have this clear structure on your website enables search engines, people, and LLMs to find the most important content. It kind of acts as like a roadmap to find those important pages. And then the next one would be to always have your technical SEO in check, because you can have the most amazing content, but if your technical SEO is not up to scratch, then you may as well not bother about it. So have a site that's mobile friendly, it's fast, really, really sexy, like user experience. Make sure you're putting all of these things at the forefront of your strategy. So what leads into the technical SEO piece is schema markup, which is the next one. So we'll get into the schema types in just a little bit. And then lastly, but not leastly, is build your credibility with EEAT. So that's another topic we'll get into as well. But this is definitely not a new tactic. This has been spoken about, I would say, since 5 years ago, maybe even more. But EEAT is becoming such a hot topic at the moment because it's becoming so important for LLMs even more so than it has for search engines. Thanks, Fadi. Can go to the next one. So just getting into schema markup. What is it? I know there are a lot of very technically minded people on this call, but just to break it down to a more lay person level, it is a special kind of code that you add to your website. What it does is it enables search engines and LLMs like ChatGPT to better understand the content of your page. So you're essentially giving them this breakdown, like what is this page about? What are the key elements of this page? So what's important to also keep in mind is that LLMs and search engines are pretty smart at understanding the context of your page. If you've written it well and you structured it well, it should be okay. But this is a really, really good best practice to adhere to by adding the schema markup. So the example that we've got over there is for a recipe. So we'll get into like the various types of schema markup. But this is a nice example because it's showing you the various elements of the recipe. What is the recipe? It's the apple pie by grandma. Who is the author of this recipe? Who created it? What are the calories? Some people want to know for apple pie. Don't know why. It's no point. But you want to know what the preparation time is. What are the key ingredients? So these are the key kind of aspects that you'll add to your schema markup. And then you'll see in the next one that this is what it will look like in ChatGPT. So this is a nice kind of broken down how it will show you a recipe. So there's no guarantees that if you add the schema markup that, yes, my recipe is the one that's going to be shown here. It's the one that's going to be linked to. So if you see over there, just next to the yield field, it's got loads of links to other websites. So they've extrapolated this information from loads of other websites as well. But by having the schema markup, it allows it to extrapolate this data like they have shown over here. So just to get into the various types of schema that you can implement, let me tell you, there are hundreds of different types, but these are the key types that would be most relevant, I would say, to everyone on this call. So the main one you want to optimize for is organization markup. So this just lists various important details of your company. So it's your website URL, social profiles, what is your address, just those key kind of information indicators. Then the next one you would want to implement is article or blog posting markup. So this, if you have a blog or a resource or an insight section of your website, this you definitely want to add. And same thing, you'll have like your heading, what is the description, what are your main images. So it's a lot of key points that you can add to this kind of schema. Then next you would want to add person. So this would relate quite strongly to the article. So if you have an article and you have an author, then you would have a person who you would want to link that article to. So the person markup can be added to an author page. It can be added to your team page as well. If you have individual team member pages, this will just show you what is their expertise, where did they study. It's a really nice one to actually indicate to LLMs and search engines, does this person really know what they're talking about, essentially? And for e-commerce, super, super important to add product schema. I would say if you are an e-commerce website, this is essential to add. It's not just a best practice, it's an essential thing to add. So definitely add your product markup. This will detail the price, the availability of your product, photos like URLs to the images, the description. Really, really good one to add. Then you would also want to add recipe. We went into that one in the previous slide. So any kind of recipe website. And then local business, a nice one to add if you are a smaller business like a boutique or a plumber. like a small agency, something like that. Organization and local business are similar, but the organization one is generally for bigger companies. And just some schema tools that are really, really useful for generating your schema market. This is my favorite one. It's by technicalseo.com. So you can generate all those markup types that we just talked about. And it just gives you all the fields, all the inputs that you need to put in there. So it mitigates all of those human error things that will happen. And let me tell you as well, I've used LLMs to help me with schema. It's dodgy. So just try and use a tool like this. It really, you can't go wrong with it. And then to support that, once you've generated your schema, you can test it using this tool over here, which is the schema markup validator. So you just put in your schema or your URL if you've already got it implemented on your website, then you can debug if there are any errors with your markup and make changes from there. Okay, my favorite topic, EEAT. So what is it to begin with? So what does it stand for? It stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness. I can't say authoritativeness, it's too long, and then trustworthiness. So what does this actually mean? Why is it important for LLMs? So LLMs base a lot of their principles on search engines like Google. So Google adhere very, very strictly to this EEAT framework. Believe it or not, sometimes when you see a crappy result, you kind of wonder, but for the most part, they want to adhere to this framework. So it's vital for the LLMs because it guides the evaluation of the content that they're serving up. Is it something that they can trust, that the end user can trust? Because essentially we're all quite digitally savvy and we want the best results that we can possibly get. And LLMs know this. So they use these guidelines in order to serve up the information that's most relevant to us, but also that's trustworthy. And it also tries to, with that end goal of trying to mitigate the false information, because false information, yes. And because that's just such an issue in the digital landscape, because there's so much content out there. And if we don't have this framework to try and adhere to, it's just a wild west. So another important thing to keep in mind is this is very, very important for websites. They're called Your Money or Your Life. So this is anything to do with the finance industry, investing, insurance, healthcare, legal. Your money or your life is something where you can influence a person's life and their choices and their happiness and their health. So super, super important to keep these principles in mind. So we want to see EEAT in action. You can go to the next one. Thanks, Badie. So you would want to ask yourself some questions, some key questions for each of these pillars of EEAT. The first one is for experience. How long have they been doing this for? You know, what is their kind of street cred in this industry? It's like you want to see how long have they been actually working in this industry. Like say, for instance, insurance. Okay, they've been in this industry, but for how long? So it's really important to try and showcase that as best you can. Then the next one would be expertise. This is, what are their qualifications? What is their specialism? This is more overt. This is easier to showcase. So you would show that this person's been to UCT and then they studied law for how many years? Do they have a degree? Do they have a master's? So you're able to kind of showcase this expertise in their field a lot easier in this sense. Whereas I would say experience is a little bit more murky. The next one is authoritativeness. So you would ask yourself, is this website or author a reliable source of information? So it's by going, the way you can showcase this is just going beyond that surface level. This is the kind of article we've written. You want to go in depth. You want to show them you've done the research on this topic. if you are writing, say, for instance, a white paper or a case study or something that's really, really rich and in-depth, where did you get this information? Was it from your own studies that you conducted internally, or are there other studies that you're making reference to? So super important for this piece of the EAT framework. And then lastly, but definitely not least, is trustworthiness. So regardless of the topic of your page or your website, this is 100% the most important of these factors. So you would want to consistently be delivering on honest and dependable advice. This is especially if you're in that finance niche, or if you're investing, healthcare, that sort of thing. These kind of websites are very, very heavily scrutinized according to the trustworthiness piece. And I've just included an example here, and there are many ways to showcase EEAT, but this is a really nice one from NerdWallet. NerdWallet and Investopedia is Fadi's favorite one, but I like NerdWallet. They're pretty good. But they showcase their EEAT beautifully by having these writer pages. They also have processes and guidelines, which they go into detail with on their website. But this is just an example of showing that Elizabeth has loads of experience in retirement, credit, and wellness. Where has she studied? Where has she worked? She's also been featured on a bunch of TV shows. So this is just a nice example of how you can showcase EEAT in a more overt way. Just a few best practices with EEAT. There are some very base level ones, like making sure that you are contactable, that you have a privacy policy, all of these kind of ground level best practices. But I thought just to keep it a bit more specialized, we'll go into these best practices that not many websites actually use, I've found, especially in the South African space. So there's a lot of opportunity to utilize these. So number one, always focus on the content quality. Make sure you're delivering. I've been harping on about this for ages. I know I mentioned it earlier, but always something to keep in mind is just to have this content quality that's really, really useful to people and something that your audience needs. So don't be creating crappy content that's generated just by AI. Create something that's really rich and, yeah, lots of citable sources. So going back to the actual thing that we wanted to talk about. So this, you want to use the sources and then insert statistics and quotes from experts. So make sure that while you're doing your research for the content that you're creating, you are quoting these sources. You're putting in very detailed and useful statistics. So obviously it depends on the kind of content that you're creating, but this is especially important for any kind of in-depth content you want to be creating for your audience. And then the next one would be a nice, easier lift would be to create author pages like what we showed a little bit earlier. But here's another great example of very well fit. They are a health and wellness website based in the US, but they've got really great author pages where they show you that they use experts or subject matter experts who know what they're talking about. And they actually reference one another when they're creating this article content, showing that, okay, we spoke to Paige about weightlifting, and they'll reference that person. So super, super important, but also don't be creating author pages for the sake of it. It has to be based on real world evidence and showing that this person exists. That is the most important thing, is that authenticity piece. So the impact of external reviews, links and mentions on ChatGPT, LLMs prioritize content that's authoritative and relevant, like we've already established at length. So the more often, it's been shown that the more often your brand is referenced online, the more likely you are to be shown up in the LLM search results. It's kind of similar for search engines as well, but it's kind of like that backlinking piece where you get a backlink in SEO. When you get a backlink from a website, they're linking to you saying that, oh, this is a great website. Then that acts as a vote of confidence in the eyes of a search engine. It works very much the same way for LLMs. So just to show you an example, this is just a table that Fadi actually put together. It's a really nice table, but you'll see that the source would be these 6 websites. They're all talking about who is the best insurance company in South Africa. So this is just an example, guys, if anyone works in insurance, but they're all saying it's Outsurance. Okay, amazing. They are the best one. So you would actually likely encounter Outsurance to be referenced more likely in an LLM response if someone is researching in that research phase of who is the best insurer in South Africa. And they may list other ones, but here's just like a basic example of showing you the more brand is mentioned in different spaces, you're more likely to be shown up in that AI result. So you might be wondering, sorry, just one back. There you go, thanks. Before we get to that. So you might be wondering, what if I'm a small business? We've been talking a lot about Investopedia and NerdWallet and all of these big, sexy websites, but you might be wondering, how do I actually compete? How can I be cited or referenced? And the short answer is you have to do it the hard way. It's very difficult to compete with these massive big websites. So I'd say to try and zoom in on what are you doing that's best serving your audience, how are you best creating the content for them, but also are you bringing good services and products to them? That's the most important thing to keep in mind, is like creating great services and products that people actually want to talk about and want to reference. So we wanted to keep it simple by talking about citations. So that's essentially like a brand mention, how you're more likely to be shown up in an LLM or search engine as well. I am an SEO by heart, die hard. So Fadi, we can go to the next one. So as a small business or a large business, one of the things that you can do is create high quality content. So I've also rated it on a difficulty scale. So this is difficult. You need the resources, you need people. You can't just be using ChatGPT to create this high quality content. It has to come from your own experience. But here is an amazing example of content done right that gets loads of links and loads of mentions naturally, is payroll.com. So if you have any spare time, go check out their hiring guides. They've got it for every single country out there, thoroughly researched, really, really amazing content. So that would be first and foremost. The next, what you would want to do is digital PR and media outreach. This is also tricky if you have a limited budget, but if you do have the budget, I would recommend going for it. It's essentially entails reaching out to journalists, media outlets, and writing content that they want to link to. So it is a bit like of a selling game. You need to build the relationships with these people, essentially get a person that knows their stuff about digital PR. Don't get a SEO person to do this. Please don't. We're not good at this kind of stuff, but this is a really, really great tactic, and it's something that's a slow burn as well. So if you get a bunch of links from really high authority domains, it takes a while for this momentum to build up, but it's a really great tactic if you have the resources and the budget. The next one you would want to do is, it's hard though, is building relationships with influencers. So this is a great example of Topicals. They are an American cosmetics company, and they partnered up with 12 influencers and sent them to Ghana for Dirty December. But this was like such a cool campaign, and it was done beautifully. These guys were super excited to be on this campaign, and it's actually been referenced by many publications of just showing them what this influencer relationship is. It's done right. It's done really well. But again, it takes a lot of work and budget, and you want to make sure you're working with the right people. But this is really a good one for, especially if you're trying to appeal to the younger audiences, like the Gen Zs and the millennials of the world. They use other search engines and platforms, and they follow these people. So it's a really great tactic if you're able to do it, if you're able to do it right, let's say. Okay, so the next one would be to do guest posting. I would caution, a word of caution on guest posting. There are a lot of crappy websites out there that you can guest post on. The idea is to post something and you link back to your website or your brand, because it's kind of like a special piece that you are weighing in with your expertise. But you want to do this with really nice, good websites. So this example over here is on Forbes. So if you post something on Forbes, well, I think they have to vet you quite heavily, but they will actually link back to your website. And Forbes.com has a really good domain authority. They have a lot of clout in their industry. So another nice one to do. It's not as hard as the influencer one. So, but also, yeah, be careful about who you target. This one you should be doing already is social media. So be present on the platforms that make sense to you and your audience and your business. It's quite an easy one to do. So you are essentially content, you're getting people to engage, and you are linking back to your relevant pages that you are posting about, or your relevant topics. So you should be doing this one already. It's a nice, easy one. And then the last one, this is also, be careful with this one, directories, because there's a lot of crappy directories out there. It's quite an easy one to do, but make sure you're very, very picky with the type of directories that you go after. Don't do too many, because you have to upkeep this thing. You have to, if your address changes or your phone number changes, you need to, be able to change it as you need to.
Okay. So just to pick up from Nicole, so we've just talked about schema and citation. So most of the people in this call will be able to do this stuff. We do have an offer if you want some help with this stuff. So we do offer SEO reviews, full SEO reviews. But in terms of the specific topic that we're talking about is, we've got 5 spots available for a schema review. So if you want to understand where you are in terms of schema and in terms of inbound links, citations, if you want to have an overview and get a bit of training as well, we usually charge for these. So just Michael is going to paste a link in the chat now. If you're interested to take one of these spots up, just click on the link and complete your details, and get some help with the stuff. Cool. Nicole, do you want to just run? Take it away again.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so there are a few tools that you can use to measure your performance in LLMs. It's AI visibility tools. So I just picked these top 4, but there are many, many tools out there. So what you would need to do is, they're obviously these tools that we've listed, which is Profound, Scrunch, Peak, and SEMrush. They cover like your ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, but they don't cover some of the other tools. So my advice to you would be to make sure that you pick a tool that covers the platforms that you most care about. So they are also expensive. So the the top two, which is Profound and Scrunch, those seem to be more targeted to brands with a global footprint. So it'd be like as Amazon, or like a Nerd Wallet, those kinds of brands. So the price, I couldn't find the price. They're like POA. So these are great for big brands. But then Peak and SEMrush seem to be a bit more accessible. But they do pretty much the same thing of that brand visibility. They do sentiment as well. They see what the sentiment is about your brand. So that's quite helpful. Peak is $90 to $500 a month. And then SEMrush is $99 per month per domain. Just remember that, just the fine print. So it can get pretty pricey. But a more kind of easy lift for the rest of us who might not want to pay that kind of money would be to use GA4. And what you can do is you access the user acquisition report, then you put in first user source, and you can actually see the kind of traffic that you're getting from ChatGPT. I'm sure it would be from other LLMs as well. But Ferdy, do you mind going to the next one? Yeah, there we go. So you're able to actually filter by the kinds of referral traffic that you're getting. So really, really nice, handy one to get. Some of our clients we've checked, and you see like a bit of an uptick, especially from last year, like I think it was August or so. But this is really a nice, handy report to do for the rest of us.
And if for example, you have a Google Data Studio dashboard, you can pull that information in there that just draws a nice graph for you, etc. So it's just easier to get to. But as Nicole says, so it seems that the visibility functionality is quite pricey at the moment. Like SEMrush is 2,000 Rand a month, and we looked at it and it looks very basic. So Calvin, there's a bit of a challenge for you if you can find us a great piece of software you can distribute it to the community. Cool. So we've got 15 minutes left. I'm quickly going to just jump through this stuff. So this is the more advanced stuff in terms of ChatGPT. But please go and do the basic stuff first. This is experimental. So there's a thing called, or one of the issues that the LLMs have is most websites have like 10,000 or 20,000 lines of code. And for the LLMs to ingest this information takes a hell of a lot of energy, literal energy. So it's just less energy efficient than Google. So the LLMs are very deliberate in terms of what they put into the model and what not. So, for example, Microsoft wants to restart 3 Mile Island, which is like a nuclear power plant in America, just to sort of get the power going in their data center so that they can actually do this. So this energy thing is real. So one of the things that we've discovered online that is sort of very much in its infancy, we're doing a few experiments, is a LLMs.txt file. So normal websites have a robot.txt. That's what you can say to Bing, like visit the site, or Google, don't visit the site. So this is a file that gives the LLMs better context in terms of your website, and it presents the most important content on your website in text. So instead of it having to go through 10,000 lines of code, what you basically give it is a text file with all the text in it. And it's very good to ingest the text compared with the code. So, and this file is basically just one long text formatted text file. So if you go online and you type in LLMs.txt, there's a couple of sites that explain how to do that. In the email we send afterwards, we will include a link. The other thing that any e-commerce company needs to be aware of is Google ChatGPT is quite close to opening up a data so that you can submit your data feed to them. So data feed is an Excel file with all your products and pricing. So once you have sent that out, so if open up, people can then submit their products, and then your products will appear on ChatGPT. So those are the more advanced stuff. So to finish off with the practical things, so like what is it that you can do today? Nicole, you're welcome to jump in at any stage. It's like, what are the, if once I leave this thing, what should I do? The first thing that we recommend is to go and test your schema. So there's a couple of websites that allows you to test your schema. If we have a link, I'll just post it in the chat. So all you do is you enter in your details on the URL on this tool, and it'll tell you if you have schema or not. So you can very quickly see, like, do you have it or don't you have it? And that's a very good place to start, is just to know, do you have it or don't you? The next thing to do is to review. The content on your website. With ChatGPT, it's so easy to generate content these days, and a lot of companies just used to blog on their site, and it's written by like staff member or it's sort of anonymous. That is ignored by Google and the LLMs. So it's very important to stop doing that. Don't do that. It's not valuable anymore. And go and think, what is the unique thing that you can do at the moment? So let me just mute Zipo. So that's quite important, is to go and see what is the one thing that you can contribute that's unique to you. And then once you figure out what you can write about, is to go and build the author pages. Sorry, Danae, for embarrassing you in front of everybody.
Thanks, love it.
Yeah, cool. To go and build the author page, go and put down the role, go and put down the location, the education, the expertise, link to LinkedIn. So when you are creating the content, it's very important to prove to Google. It's the onus is on us to prove to Google and the LLMs that we know what we're talking about. It's not, it can't guess. We have to explicitly say, I've got 18 years experience, or I've got 3 years experience. That's very important. And then once you've done that, is to link the two. So when you have an article, is add the author in there. Go by Danae van Deventer and link to Danae van Deventer. Okay. I hope that makes sense. It's fairly simple, like most people should be able to do that. And then I think the last or like a very important thing is to get some measurement in place to see is this changing for you? Are you losing Google clicks? Is ChatGPT increasing? Is Meta AI increasing? And you can use that with Google Analytics 4. 90% of everybody in the call should have Google Analytics 4 installed. We shared the screenshots on how to get there. So it is important to just keep an eye on this, because there's tectonic shifts happening in the space at the moment. Cool. Any questions? I'm just gonna unshare for a moment and just do the questions.
We got there were a few questions. The first one was from Nicole Walden. I don't know if I should send this to you, Freddie.
No, just read the question out.
Right at the beginning of your presentation, she's asked something about where is ChatGPT drawing it looked like a merchant center listing right at the beginning of your presentation. She's just asking where you got that from.
Oh, yes. So what's happening is ChatGPT is rolling out new features. So it went live with search, then it went live with the image generation stuff, and one of the next, and the deep research, and one of the next things that they're testing out at the moment is to show better product information. I have links to the reviews and the pricing, and so it's not live yet. But it should go live in like the next 2 months, we estimate. And then what happens is there will be a service where you can send all your products to ChatGPT to put it into their model so that it can show your products. So it's almost like Google Merchant Center. It's almost a little bit like that, but it'll be on ChatGPT side.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Makes sense.
And then the next one was Pierre Diaz. What about sites like Wikipedia and Reddit? Do these contribute to building external credibility?
Nicole, do you want to answer that?
So I think that was under citations.
Yes. Yes, so it absolutely is valuable to be on Wikipedia. Reddit, they do get much of their data from Reddit, but I would also advise a bit of caution about being featured on Reddit. Like, make sure that if you are a brand and somebody is asking a question about something in your industry or about something related to your products, definitely jump in and contribute in a valuable way, because you see a lot of brands out there who will just jump in on a random thread, and just be like, oh, but you should check out my website over here. And it's like, what? That was totally left field. So make sure that it's valuable to the people on Reddit, and that the thread is actually relevant and your reply is relevant to that. Wikipedia is difficult to get listed on. I've tried. But yeah, if you're able to, if you're a bigger brand like a Suntime or an Old Mutual, they do have Wikipedia pages. So is a lot trickier if you're a smaller brand.
Okay. Sorry. And then Altia Pian said SEMrush has limitations on what AI tools and how far you can go back depending on the tier you're on. I don't know if it's a statement or a question.
I think it's a statement. So we are quite heavy users of SEMrush. So this AI visibility tool that they're having there, it's extra. Even if you're on like a, I don't know, business or pro or whatever account, we can't even access it. You have to pay, I think it's $100 per month per domain to just see the visibility. And frankly, it was not like amazing. So it's like you don't even get it in the current business levels. It's not.
Maybe.
And I think it's
maybe
because
wait.
they're new. Yeah, I would wait.
Yeah, I'd wait a while.
So, and then can I just carry on to the next question? From Linda Cooper, what do you mean by quality content that would be valued by Google LLMs? Is this specifically published content on third-party sites?
I'll try and start it, Nicole, and then you pick it up. So there's two things, two ways to look at this. If you get if you're on a third-party site, if they provide a link back to you, like that's less valuable for SEO regardless. And I think the LLMs pick up on that as well. So the content on their site, it doesn't really matter where it matters where it's, but it doesn't, the quality content thing is not really an issue there. What is important is even if you get a press mention, so like your name appears on News 24, like I know one of our clients is on the call, they get mentioned in the Daily Maverick all the time, and the Daily Maverick doesn't always just link back to them. But in the article it says Africa's top auction house, is Strauss. So what happens is the LLMs pick up on that, and if that pattern keeps repeating, the LLMs are like, there's an association between the words best auction house and Strauss. So if somebody types in best auction house in Africa, it'll then go, oh, it's all, I've got all these different options, but Strauss pops up the most of all. And this is because the LLMs are basically a predictive engine. It looks for patterns online. So what we're saying is, if there's two things. One is the more mentions you get on third-party sites, the better. But you can't really control that. It's quite difficult. If you create amazing quality content on your site, like there's a big Chechikov auction happening. Well, one of the pieces is a Chechikov. If Strauss is the Chechikov expert and the content is there, people will link to it. And those links and citations are incredibly important for Strauss. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, and we've got three more questions. What is your top advice for appearing in an AI overview? What guides the content that appears there? Also, as that can vary hour to hour.
Nicole, do you want to answer that?
Oh, sorry, that's from Amelia Theolog.
The Greek one. I think the Greek surname. It's a cool one. Top advice, I would definitely say, yeah, like Fadi was talking about, make sure that your content is quality, but you can actually assess this yourself by reading through it. Look at the way that you've structured it and the way you've put it together. Is it something that you are proud of? So yeah, you have to be really kind of honest with yourself in this process of vetting your own content. Compare it to your competitors. What you can even do manual checks and see what is being referenced, what is considered quality, and try and better that. But appearing in an AI overview, like say on Google, it's extrapolated from multiple sources, and usually, yeah, they'll obviously link to it. But a lot of the best practices are there. You know, have your content needs to be well structured. Use lots of great media in the content. Make sure that you are citing good sources. So those are some really key best practices that you should adhere to. And obviously having that technical SEO piece is also very important, having that fast website, because my suspicion is that the LLMs, or say for instance, you're talking about Google AI overviews, they take a lot of their search engine ranking factors into account when showing up that content. They work very much together. So make sure your site is nice and easy to use. It's fast. All of those key fundamentals are in place. I hope that answers your question, Amalia.
Sorry.
Thanks. Yes, thank you.
Cool.
Sorry, just before we look like we're running out of time, just two more questions which I think are kind of linked. So one is Nikki the vet, and then the other one is Sipho Kazi and Nondo. The first question, where can we sign up to be notified of the product feed feature? And the second question is, how do we improve authority with e-commerce sites? Most of the pages are generally product lists.
So Mika will send you the link. We've got your email address. Sipukazi, nice to see you. I think so. The author page is for product-based sites. I think the data feed and the schema is more valuable than authors, because it's a product. Like if you have a coffee machine, Lilith Mara coffee machine, it's like it is the coffee machine. So if you then do bring up the fact that you have great baristas and you've done this a long time, I think that would help. But I would actually focus more resources on the schema than on the authority and the authors and all that kind of stuff. Nicole,
and good
photos.
Jump in. Good photos as well of your products.
Optimized photos.
Yeah.
Like having the description in the photo as the alt, and have the file name as well. So we'll take some more questions now. I just wanted to share the last thing, because there are people on this thing that's now 4:01 on the call. So we have this, what we found with the webinars is we suspect there's a demand or requirement for marketers to connect to one another, because obviously after COVID, a lot of the marketing events went away, and it's really nice to have these peer sessions to talk to other marketers. So we're trying something. So we're calling it a marketing forum. Carmen came up with it. So what we wanted to do is we're going to share a link now where you could sign up to a form. And what we want to do is we want to put between 6 and 8 marketers in what we call a forum. So it's like a little group. And we're going to make the safe space. So it's going to be a confidential space. And then what will happen is we'll have a subject matter expert raise a topic, and then everybody can share experiences around it. So there's no advice to make the space safe, and obviously no competing companies. And we'll try and match companies together. So Kelvin, this is a little bit like EO, but for
yeah, sounds great.
So we're going to try it. So sign up if you want. If we get enough signups and the matching works, we'll match people together. If it doesn't, then we tried something. So
can we claim that we're marketers if we're not marketers?
Susie, you are welcome to anything. So any other questions?
I saw that John, I don't know if John's still here, but it might be a bit late now, but John raised his hand.
I saw John raised his hand.
Yeah.
Is John still on the call?
Hi, yeah, I am. Hi, guys. I guess I wanted to ask with reference to like LLMs and ChatGPT referencing, as people who run our businesses, we have limited resources, and is this something that we should be doing in South African terms now, or just now? And should we be focusing maybe on just our conventional SEO stuff? It kind of sounded to me like in the beginning, in the intro, that you were saying, ChatGPT is going to start doing some things which sound quite interesting, but it's not yet a feature. Just interested to hear your thoughts on that.
I'd love to answer this one, Nicole, if you allow me. If you're in a very competitive space, like I'm talking car insurance now, then I think you need to get onto this stuff right now. I think that's like, this is where competitive advantage is going to be fought. The leaders are being determined today in 3 years' time. If for example, with your business, I think the product feed, the moment that goes live, we need to get you in there. We need to submit your product feed into ChatGPT. In terms of there is a lot of overlap with the things that Nicole has mentioned that is good for your SEO as well. So there's there's a fundamental layer of things that needs to be done for SEO, which you are doing already, that helps the LLMs as well. And then there's a few experimental things. So like, for example, that file thing I spoke about. So I would say like, for now, if you're like in the space and it's not crazy competition, do the basics. Just do the normal SEO stuff and keep an eye out, because you're e-commerce, keep an eye out for when that product feed thing goes live, because I don't think you're going to pay for that. You're going to submit it, and then the product is going to become visible on ChatGPT. So that's why I'm like, be aware of it, but still remain conservative unless you want to really invest and compete. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, perfect. I hope Danae is taking notes for us.
Yeah, it's now. No, it's not now. Any other questions?
I just want to add in my 5 cents. What I would recommend to everybody is it's like, change is scary, but I would say try and keep a level head during these uncertain times. And don't get too caught up in hype about things. Like, AI is still it's not actually that new, but to a lot of us marketers, it is quite like a new shiny thing. But like a year from now, something like that, it's just going to be old hat. And I would say, just keep doing the fundamentals when you're talking about SEO, any kind of marketing strategies, things like that, and integrate the AI into your tool set, essentially. So if you stick to those SEO best practices, creating great content, all of that, you'll be fine. Don't stress.
Nicole, I do want to just add in so I remember when Google and Meta were like the upstarts in the room, and in the last 16 years they've become like monopolistic, frankly. Google owns the entire value chain in terms of serving banners online. Meta is like, I don't know, 2-3 like billion people on their network. So we can, from a client point of view and an agency point of view, we can see how they've been flexing their muscles the last 5 years. There's a toll that you have to pay to be online and for people to see it. And for the first time in like 5 to 10 years, there's a real player that's emerged in terms of the space. So it feels like the monopoly power of Google is being challenged in the court and in the market. And I think their power and influence is going to go down. It's not going away, but it's going down. And the same thing with Meta. So like Nicole is right, like keep doing the basics for SEO and you should be fine. But I would definitely keep an eye out on this, especially if it is in a competitive space where you have like, you know, lots of competition. This is a place where there could be competitive advantage, you know, in the future. And so I would keep an eye out on the shopping feed thing. And at some point, ChatGPT is going to launch a PPC advertising model where they will start serving ads inside for the free version. I think they'll be able to do that at some point. When that happens, there's going to be a couple of months where, you know, there may be like quite a great opportunity to go in and grab some clients before everybody mobilizes their budgets and like, you know, just, you know, throw capital at the issue.
Sorry, there's been one more question. From Amanda Nechi, would you recommend for SEO to have individual pages for options of the service you provide or keep them all on one page?
Nicole, this is for you.
I'll do it. So, Amanda, it depends. That's like the famous SEO thing. But I would recommend, yeah, like have your services on separate pages if they're quite different from one another, but if they're quite similar, so like if you do, say for instance, SEO and LLM optimization, it's very similar, so keep that on one page. But if, say for instance, you do SEO and paid search, have those on 2 separate pages. This is your question.
Cool. Any other questions?
Might have jumped off, but yeah.
I do. So I know we're running out of time now. So last comment from our side, we are looking. Nigel is looking for an account manager and a paid senior paid media specialist and an SEO specialist. So if you do know of anybody, please like just drop me an email. Okay. Thanks, Elise. Thanks for joining. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Susie. I hope this was interesting. I know you love. I know.
Thanks, everybody.
Very interesting. Thank you very much.
Well done,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Thanks, Super Cozy.
Thanks all.
Cheers.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Thanks, David.
Come and look at the treat you coffee if anyone's
Thanks,
involved.
everybody.
I'm going to bring my daughter. I think it's time.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Thanks, Kevin.
bye.
Thanks for joining, Bina. Hope it was informative. You're muted. All right. We can end it. I'm going to jump off. Thanks for hosting, Michael.